ever to be on the Maltz Jupiter stage. It's the cast of GYPSY, which is at Maltz Jupiter Theatre, March 21st through April 9th. And with Dana Munson, who is Director of Marketing for Maltz, and hosts our segment, Just This, on Get Out South Florida.
Oh, I love it.
You love it? So
yes.
Why don't you introduce the cast?
Okay, well, we're going to start with Vicki Lewis, who is playing Rose. Say hi, Vicki.
Hi, Vicki.
Oh, that was good. And then to my right here is Emma Stratton playing Louise.
Louise, yes. Hi.
Right? And then it's John
Shearer
playing Herbie.
Hi, Vicki. See what I did? I did it.
You did it.
This has been called one of the greatest American musicals of all time. And I know, Vicki, you've played this role before.
I have played this role before.
So how do you keep it fresh? I mean, it's such a great role. I can't wait to see you in it. I usually do these interviews, and then after I meet the cast, I'm like even more excited to see the play.
Yeah. I've done it just briefly 2 other times, but the very first time I did it was maybe 10 or 12 years ago, and it was with Marcia. But it was in a really quick summer stock environment, so we kind of just dipped our toe in the water. Mm-hmm. Marcia and I did Hello Dolly here, and something kind of fantastic happens when we get in a room together, and she loves to sort of reinvent things, and I'm a big fan of doing that. And so, what was the question?
How do you bring something new to
you tell the story in an authentic way. So the clues are in the text, and it's kind of like a blueprint, and then her and I make it come to life based on what we feel is important, in terms of the story.
What is your favorite song?
In the whole world or in the show?
In the show. And then you could tell us in the whole world.
My favorite song, that's a really good question. I love doing the duets, actually, with Herbie. Mm-hmm. They're not solo moments, but there's something about those 2 numbers wherever we go. And, what is it? What is our duet called?
You'll never get away from me.
This is our lunch break. I have no more brain power. I've learned everything I
That's
can
how
learn
she keeps
today.
things fresh. She forgot she
That's the key to keeping it fresh. Is
song.
just no short-term memory and just
And it is Friday. It is Friday.
Ability to improv.
Right.
Yeah. What's our
Small World?
Small World, and then what's our duet? You'll never get away from me. I think those are lovely moments.
I love this. Now, both you and John have been at the Maltz before. And Emma, this is your first time at Maltz. It's going to be a great experience.
I love it so far.
I have never seen a bad show here. I've never seen a bad show. And they just seem to be getting better and better. And that's why it seems that this is a perfect climax to the season. And John, you play Herbie.
Yes, I do.
You've been in La Cage aux Folles.
Yes, I did it here.
I thought you looked familiar without that.
You didn't recognize me
without the wig
dress.
and the dress. Yes, and Annie, and they're playing our song. Tell me a little bit about Bernie Wooster.
In By Jeeves, Bertie Wooster?
Herbie.
Herbie.
Yep.
That would be a very different character.
Yes.
Herbie is he's an interesting guy because he's like a traveling salesman. He's a candy salesman. He used to be a booking agent for theaters, and he sees Rose and he sort of has his eye on her, and he actually kind of. He's a soft-spoken guy, but he sort of has a mission. He wants a wife and a family and a house, and he sees Rose and is sort of overwhelmed by her
beauty,
by her
sexuality,
beauty, by her sexuality,
her zopticness.
No, it's actually not that. No, it's
it's
definitely not
overwhelming
that.
when he sees
no,
me.
not
the beauty that is her.
Her zopticness.
That's what it is.
Yep, she's
Isn't that a nice word for overweight? Your goal weight, zoptic. Yeah.
Now, I'm sure, I've seen this a number of times, and I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people who do come and have seen it before because it's just such a great play. And Emma, for those who have not seen it, tell us about Louise.
So Louise eventually turns into Gypsy Rose Lee, who I'm sure everybody coming to the show knows about. She's the firstborn of Roses, and she starts the show first act in her sister June's shadow. So she's really shy, really soft-spoken, and then kind of comes into her own within the show, especially in the second act once June I don't want to give anything away for people, but
No, it's okay.
once June isn't in the picture anymore, and once it's finally just Louise and Rose and Herbie kind of making their way, she comes into her own. So she starts off as this really, really shy girl and turns into this blossoming woman.
You seem a little shy.
I am.
Does something happen to you when you get on stage? And
Yeah.
because I know something happens to me when I get on the mic, but nobody can see me.
I'm actually a really private person. So I guess it's not as much shy, it's more private. And then when I get on stage, I was telling somebody, we're doing a cabaret in a few weeks, and I was like, I can't do it. I get really nervous, really bad stage fright if I'm in front of people and I can see their faces. But then if I'm a character and I can't see anybody's faces because of the lights, it's totally a different story. Yeah, it's interesting.
Now, Vicki,
You're a little under.
Yes.
That's it. Perfect. There it is.
must have been the cupcakes.
Yeah.
You know. Vicki, what part of you do you bring to this role, to the role of Gypsy?
I try to bring every part of myself. If it sounds a little ego-y to say, I guess. But I mean, I paint with a lot of colors. At least I try to. And, you know, the thing I love about the opportunity to play her is oftentimes she's, you know, played in a similar tone and color, and it's maybe a little harder, a little stronger, hit a little harder emotionally, and I have different tools in my toolbox, and I think it's important not to play her as a monster and to sort of, you know, show the vulnerability, you know, and the journey and why she's misguided, as opposed to thinking of her as a sort of just a witch, you know.
Is she a witch?
Woman. Well, if you read about Rose, you know, it's a horrible biography to read. And certainly in the confines of the show, it's not nearly as extreme as that. But it's you know, she's not a sympathetic character necessarily at all times. So I think it's important to really find, you know.
What's her problem?
I don't think she felt loved. I don't think she got what she dreamed of getting, and so she projected it onto her children and pushes it onto them, and then that's, you know, allows her to sit in that limelight because, you know, it's the closest she can get to it. I think she was worried financially, so, you know, she pushes them, and, you know, there's always a manipulation of how can I survive. You know, it's what she sees in Herbie. Oh, maybe he can handle the act, and then, you know, the kids will have a man, and, you know, it's kind of just, how do I survive? How do I get from 1 minute to the next without money, you know, and a man, and
It's one of the
I
great
say
things
the same thing.
One of the great things about
Yeah,
the show,
yeah.
I think, is that Rose really is. She's a force, but it's all they're all damaged people. It's very human. The writing is very deep, and they're very human, flawed people who all want something desperately. And that's what makes it a great. That's why Vicki and I were talking about. You could do the book of this musical without the songs, and it would still be a great play.
Yeah,
but
it's
then
a
the
complicated
score is
story.
spectacular.
Yeah,
it's really. I do think it's the greatest musical ever written.
I
Really?
agree with
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
absolutely. It's always been my favorite.
The way you described her, though, it made it sound like I thought of Mother Courage and Mommy Dearest, like you know,
yeah,
a meld of those two.
That makes sense to
You
me,
know?
yeah.
And she says it at the end. She said, "I just wanted to be noticed."
Yeah.
So it's really all about her.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Isn't that what is
Yeah.
it about for everybody? Do you know what I mean? We're all sort of working out our stuff, and it really comes from that tiny, you know, family of origin place of I didn't feel seen, or I was abused, or I was misunderstood, or I was bullied, or I was whatever I was, and we get formed into these people to compensate, you know, how to navigate the world. I don't think it's any different who she is or Herbie is or Louise is than any human, and that's why it's relatable, because we're all flawed. I don't know anybody that's perfect, and I certainly don't think I would find them interesting if I did. So I think it's a human story.
So for those who haven't seen, I can't believe there is actually someone.
I know,
who
well,
never
or maybe
seen-
There
a
are
lot of
some.
younger people. The millennial generation may not necessarily know. But,
Yeah.
but in terms of like the crowd that you guys have here, they'll be a very seasoned, I think they'll pretty much know the story, right?
Yeah,
think so.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so.
I
But for
think so.
those, because we do have, I mean, we have listeners from Vero Beach down to Key West.
Okay.
So we want to bring them all
Yeah.
to Maltz Jupiter Theatre. So for those who have never been here, or specifically to those who have never seen this play or seen the movie, which is, I mean, you have to, what could attract them to this show?
It has everything in it. It has a great score. It has an incredibly moving story, and there are parts of it that are hilariously funny. I think it just has it all.
Yeah.
It's a showbiz tale, and it's a musical. What could be better than that?
Yeah.
See, I don't want people to think, oh, well, now Gypsy's been around for ages. I want to see something new.
But you are going to see something
Yeah.
new, because the telling that the way the story is being told this time is completely fresh, and you will see it with new eyes. It's also a musical with no fat on it, so it moves. Even though it's a bit of a monster in terms of the weight of it and maybe the time of it, it doesn't feel that way because there's no fat on it, so it just moves, and before you know it, it's done.
There have been so many revivals of it as well, since I think it opened in 1956, right? Is that
Oh,
correct?
thank God, I wasn't even born yet.
Something
Yeah.
in
In
the
the late
later
50s.
50s. And since then, there have been maybe 5 revivals on Broadway, and every time it has a revival, Arthur Lawrence, the writer of it, has revived it and made revisions to the script. And so, like she's saying, with fat on it, not that I'm sure there was hardly any fat on it the first time around, but every time it's been done, it's gotten better. And then, as far as score goes, it's Julie Stein and Stephen Sondheim, which is like a
Right.
dream team.
How much better does
So
it get?
yeah, I mean, it's the greatest writers of the musical theater, and then on top of that.
Well, for those of you who are listening to this and don't know this, but the Maltz Jupiter Theatre, this is their own production. It's not a road production. And Dana, you folks hire everybody.
We do.
Yeah.
We do, and I think a lot of people don't actually realize that. I think they think that we're like a Kravitz Center, where they're bringing in a bus and truck show, and we're not that. We do everything here from scratch, to building the sets in our production shop, to casting, to you name it, to the marketing as well.
Oh, yes, you have a great marketing director. Yeah.
Dana does our marketing. He's the weak link here.
I'll have to text Linnea later. GYPSY at the Maltz Jupiter Theatre, March 21st through April 9th, considered one of the best American musicals of all time. There are 3 ways to purchase your tickets. You can go to jupitertheatre.org. In person, go to the Maltz Jupiter Theatre on Indiantown Road in Jupiter, or call the box office at 561-575-2223. And we're going to be talking about GYPSY again on this week's show. So thanks. I always say this to the cast when I interview people, though I've never done it. I'm the one that holds up the sign on opening night that says, "Remember me?" But maybe I'll do that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Break a leg, and I look forward to seeing you on the show.
Thank you.